Let me go ahead and click.
Oh, I forgot to turn it on. We can't. I forgot to turn it on before I started the broadcast. I'm not sure you can turn it on. My bad.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? I hope everybody's doing great. My name is Tony Tate. I'm a MYNT Community brand promoter. Yay, I'm excited. The transition is complete as of about 72 hours ago. And I am super, super excited to actually be actually honored and asked to be on this Google Training Hangout with Lisa Grossman, guys. She is, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about who she is, but for those of you who are just new to the team, you are in for a treat. And but when I say treat, I don't mean the treat where you have to run down the street and catch the ice cream man. I'm talking about a treat because what she's going to be sharing with us some really cool stuff. And if I know Lisa at all, it's definitely going to be cooler than the other side of the pillow. So Lisa, welcome. How are you doing?
Tony, I'm doing great. And I'm thrilled to be here, everybody. Welcome to the hangout tonight. I know this has been the week that was, coming off the month that was, the last 72 hours, and put your running shoes on. I've had the privilege of working with this team for the last year, for those of you that are new, and just about a 1-year anniversary, they found out that the last year was really the preamble and the prep work for the run of a lifetime. Because what you now have done is joined forces with the most explosive company globally in our space right now, and that's Jeunesse Global. And that company is owned and operated by two very, very dear friends of mine, Wendy and Randy Ray, that I have known them clear back to 2001 and worked with them on and off over the years. And they are among the best of the best of the best in the space. And they know who the distributors are. They care about people.
Yeah.
And I've always said, and anybody who knows me has heard me say time and time again, at the end of the day, everything rises and falls with leadership. Jeunesse has phenomenal products. MYNT has phenomenal products. You know, have the best of both those worlds. An extraordinary comp plan with people who are earning extraordinary life-changing income very fairly. The greater the impact on people, the more that you work, the more lives that you touch, the more money that you make. And certainly right now, Jeunesse is touching a great many lives around the world, and its top leaders are being rewarded in ways that we've never seen in the industry before at such, diverse levels. But what really separates mediocre companies from good companies, and good companies from those great companies that can achieve that billion-dollar level of operation and maintain it, is the leadership, the ownership, the one thing that you cannot change and will always dictate the path on which you are moving. Because long-term decisions always have to be made. Tough calls have to be made. Instinct. You have to have an instinct to know what to do. And these people know how to operate not just a domestic market. As a matter of fact, the U.S. market is relatively new for Jeunesse. They've been here for 5 years since they launched, but everybody domestically acts like they started, October, November, with the introduction of a product that's very exciting, but not new to the marketplace, because of their ability to market effectively and their experience on a global scale. People think that product is just started yesterday as well, but there's a difference between having a great product and knowing how to market it. But Jeunesse entered into the U.S. doing $50 million a month globally. They're operating around the world exceptionally well, top-line management around the world. And this is where you've now entered into. And for you guys, it's a whole new story. And you get the opportunity, after just a year when you were still new, still having people excited because it was something new and backed by something solid, to tell that story again, but at the next level, not just for one country in North America, but globally. And I had the good fortune to communicate earlier tonight with Travis, who's down in Mexico, we were talking a little bit, and he's in the last 72 hours is just going ballistic. And in Mexico, and he was doing really well a month ago. But a month ago, Mexico wasn't even an option. And now you've got all these countries around the world that are. And as we talk about that, I want you all to look and think about what you're going to do with this opportunity and this timing. I talked a little bit about it with my partner on your launch call Monday night. And sometimes when I get excited and I get serious and I talk the business, I am very direct. I think it's my greatest strength, and I think it's my biggest weakness, because it is very simple. People tend to complicate things up, and success and what to do in order to be successful is very simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. And sometimes it can be very intimidating when things are moving a million miles an hour and you feel like, what do I do? And if you don't know what to do, sometimes the instinct is kind of to do nothing and to feel like it's bigger than you are, or it's passing you by. So I want you to take a breath, and I'm going to tell you some other truths that are going to have you really put things in perspective. So here's some ways to be successful by telling you some real truths. Number one, wherever you are in your career, doesn't matter. Because whether you're at the beginning or the middle, or excelling or playing at the level that Travis plays at, or the level that, Kathleen Dagelman or some of the top people in Jeunesse are playing at, or Steve Perry or the top level in MYNT are playing at, wherever you are, chances are what got you there, you're now comfortable doing. However uncomfortable you had to become to shoot for where you are, you're now comfortable there. Even if it was, I just signed up, you were never comfortable enough perhaps to do that before, to take that leap and say, I'm going to go start a business for myself. And now you've done it. So you're on the other side of something that at one time you were scared to do, and now you've done it. So we're all of us at some point or other in a comfort zone. And the next level is moving out of your comfort zone. And here's what takes a lot of people out of the game. They don't give themselves, and therefore they don't give their teams permission to suck. I didn't say to fail. Failure is not the inability to create the results you want. Failure is giving up on ever achieving that result. So understand the difference between the two. Any athlete will tell you that losing a race is not failure. There will be another race tomorrow, and nobody wins every race they play in. There's only one winner. We're going into right now the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals. There have been great achievements throughout the season in both those sports, and at the end of it, there's going to be only one team that wins the championship in each, and only one player in each that wins the MVP. That doesn't mean that everybody else failed. Failure is the guy who says, because my team didn't win, I'm never going to win a championship, therefore I am quitting the sport. That is when you fail, because you accept today's reality as your reality forever. So here's reality. When you go out to do something great, you are going to suck, and you have to give yourself permission to suck, and you have to give your teammates permission to suck, because there's no way you're not going to. And you're going to suck and suck and suck the first time you do it. And guess what? The fifth time you do it, you're still going to suck. You're just not going to suck as much as you did the first time. Here's what I know. The fifth time you do it, you're not going to be quite as bad as you were the first time. And the 10th time you do it, you're going to be better than you were the fifth time. And the 25th time you do it, you're going to be pretty darn good. That's reality. So if you give yourself permission to do that and everybody around you, take the pressure off. That's number one. That's the price of fame. And here's a little story to give you an idea of why you have to move to action and why I don't want you to get the analysis paralysis and why I like simplicity. First off, here's my favorite quote this week. And I say that because I get interviewed a lot these days. People are always asking what my favorite quote is, as if you're going to go through life constantly reading new material, seeing new things, and you're only going to have your favorite book is going to remain the same and your favorite quote's going to remain the same. Now, I will admit that Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss has remained pretty much a favorite of mine throughout the course of my life, along with others. That has been kind of a constant. But my new favorite quote is, it is not, perfection is achieved, not when there is nothing left to add, but when there is nothing left to remove. So when there's nothing left to remove and it still works, you're on the right track. And there is nowhere that is more true than in network marketing, because this is about getting a large number of people moving in the same direction to create a movement. It's about creating a choir, not a soloist. And you can take a lot of great voices, and if they all start singing their favorite song instead of the same song, you've got bona fide, headache-causing, ear-shattering noise. Right? But if you get them together, they sing well. So here's my little analogy about why we want to get to action, and you got to go suck as fast as you can so you can suck less and suck less so you're good. Imagine that you do not know how to ride a bicycle. Now, you all remember, y'all can ride a bike today, probably, most everybody, but I'm sure you remember a time in your life when you couldn't. I want you to imagine that that day was today, that you did not know how to ride a bike. And you show up at my bike, Lisa's bike riding school, and you show up and you come in, and I said, you guys are in for the treat of a lifetime, because guess what we've done? We've got Lance Armstrong, and we've got the winner of last year's Tour de France. As a matter of fact, we've assembled past and present 10 of the top cyclists in the world. Come into the auditorium, everybody sit down, take your seats, because for the next 8 hours, they're going to teach you everything you ever wanted to know about riding a bike, but we're afraid to ask. And after 8 hours of lectures, aerodynamics, everything, posture, sitting, brakes, everything you can be taught from the stage to the seat, then we tell you, and now we're going into practical application, and we have assembled outside those doors the very best racing bikes available, the most expensive, the state of the art for each of you to ride. Now, after 8 hours of teaching from the best bicyclists in the world and the best equipment, you know what's going to happen to each and every person when they go out and get on that bike? They're going to fall. No matter what you do, everybody gets on a bike and they fall because they don't have their balance. As a matter of fact, the first stage of bicycle riding we call unconsciously incompetent. You'll look at it and say, gee, that's easy, I can do it. And you get on the bike and you promptly fall on your butt and you instantly become consciously incompetent. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making a fool out of myself. And then after a little bit of time, you find your balance. Now you're consciously competent. The only thing you can do on that bike is, look at the road and hold your handlebars. And the only thing you're thinking about is keeping that bike from falling over with you on it. And then at some point you realize you're not even thinking about riding the bike anymore. Bike's kind of riding itself because you're thinking about the scenery. You're thinking about what you want to do with your life. You're thinking about everything. And now you're unconsciously competent. And network marketing works exactly the same way. People come into it, they jump into it, and they think, oh, this is so easy. Everybody's going to join me. And they go out and they fall off the bike and they say, my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Then they want to go to school for 8 hours. They want to get around every expert and they want to learn everything they can ever possibly know, which doesn't help at all because you're still going to go out and suck. Then you go out and you start talking to people and you're very conscious and concerned and a little bit scared, and that's normal. And then one day it gets easy. So here's my next piece of information. It's going to cheer you up. I'll bet everybody who's watching this either live or will watch it on replay has heard this. It's depressing. When I heard it, it depressed me. How many hours does it take to be an expert at something, Tony? You've heard the saying, how many hours? Malcolm Gladwell coined this thing.
Yeah, I believe
10,000 hours, right? Yeah, 10,000 hours. Well, it does. If you want to be Michael Jordan, it will take you 10,000 hours. If you want to be Eric Worre, it'll probably take you 10,000 hours. Or Kim Wee, or assorted other people that I could name, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, 10,000 hours to become them. Do you know how long it takes you to become good at something? Really, to get good results, really good, competent? 20. It takes 20 hours to become competent at something. Competent where you will get good results and can make a very good living, actually, even 20 hours. If you think about it, there is nothing that you do well, not world class. That's the many, many, many hours, but do well that you did not master competency in 20 hours. And I don't mean 20 hours of getting ready, 20 hours of prepping, but take any network marketing skill. presenting on stage. If you spend 20 hours on stage, or not on big stages, but let's say presenting the opportunity, standing at the front of a room, whether it's 5 people in a living room or 500 people in an auditorium, doing the meeting, giving the presentation, after you've spent 20 hours actually doing that activity, you will be pretty darn good. Most people won't go through the 2 or 3 hours where they're just terrible to go through the other 17 to where they're good. If you spend 20 hours on the phone, talking to people, contacting, inviting, listening, asking questions, are you happy? Do you have a plan? Would you like to see one? Not how long it took you to make the list, and not getting ready, and not recovering, and not making notes and all the rest of it, but actually 20 hours clocked in the activity itself, you will be pretty darn near great. That's all it takes. Less than half a work week. If you are part-time, 3 hours a day, concentrated effort for a week. You can master it in a week, part-time, with 3 hours, focused time in the activity. The question is, will you? Because that's how people go from part-time to full-time. You do not measure your progress by what your paycheck is reflecting. It is a sweat equity business. You will put a lot more in for a little in the beginning, and in the long, and then you will put in a little in different ways. You will always be working hard, doing different things to get it back in the end. But it is priming a pump. And when you are priming the pump, you are doing it in 2 ways. You are creating activity. The more people that you're talking to, people are not numbers, but it is a numbers game, but you are accelerating your learning curve. It can take you, if it takes you 20 minutes to actually go through the process with a person, 3 people is an hour, 60 people where you actually go through the process is 20 hours. Trust and believe, when you've gone through the process with 60 people, you're going to be pretty effective and pretty competent at it. Now, how long it takes you to go through that process with 60 people is up to you. So we don't measure by a calendar, because some people will do that in a week. Some people will do that in a month. Some people will do it in 2 days. Some people will do it in a year, and some people will never do it. Now, your skill level will improve quicker and compound itself the closer together you put those calls. But because this is a business where you have the opportunity to create leverage, your business will also compound exponentially the closer together you do it, because other people will do the same thing. Not all. People don't duplicate you. Leaders duplicate you. The business is about duplicating leadership and creating an environment that everybody else wants to be a part of. So I would highly recommend, and here's the thing, it only takes a handful of skills to be really successful in networking. Eric puts them in his book, Go Pro. He says it's 7. But if I had to pick the 2 best things to really get good at in times like this, when you've got opportunities to compress time because people are excited, because there's been something happen like this transition, because you've got a company that's getting momentum around the world, because you've got people that are running, get good at 2 things. Very, very good at 2 things. Learn the least amount that you have to say, but listen. So ask a lot of questions and listen to what other people say, but learn the least amount that you have to say to get people in front of the information being delivered, not by you. The system, the tools, and your upline support team, your sideline support team, the stories. The least amount that you have to say to get people to hear in front of the information and to listen to the stories, and always make sure you're listening to theirs, number 1. And learn how to, so that's number 1, contacting and inviting. And the second one is getting people to all the events. Whatever events are coming up, get people to events. If you can get good at those 2, if you can put 20 hours into those, by the end, you'll be excellent at getting people in front of the information, contacting and inviting, we call it, excellent at listening, and excellent at getting people in front of impending events. And if that's all you're good at, you can take your time learning the rest. And you can do all of that in 40 hours. So the question is, where are you going to be in a year? Because the next year is going to be wild. And you have the opportunity to compress time and work backward. Where do you want to be in the next year? When's the next event? How many people do you want in the event? How many people do you have to talk to get there? How can you do it? So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you, is that while it does take 10,000 hours to maybe become a Travis Flaherty, and Tony Tate is working that path. He's on that 10,000 hour path because he sees it. He knows where he's going. But the first, competency, a great income, surrounded by great people, tap into the right influences. 20 hours, you can get good at anything. Any skill or lack thereof that you feel is holding you back, you are 20 hours away from being really good at it. Tony, thoughts?
I think the 20 hours about it's a pretty interesting number when you think about, all right, well, most people I've run into they say, you know what? I've never done anything like this before. All I've ever done is work a job. And to my response, when I was very new to the industry, I was like, well, great, treat it like a job. Show up every day. I didn't have any compassion for things that were going on in other people's lives, but most part-time jobs are that, 4 hours a day. And if they can figure out how to get 4 hours out of a day, 5 days out of the week, excluding the day of worship, whatever, their faith happens to be, and maybe a day of leisure, that's enough to refuel them to be able to do that. So like you said, they can really compress that time in the week, and the closer those intervals are for when they're doing the 20 hours, the better they'll get. I know for me, when I first heard Eric Worre's book, I had to listen to it in the audio series on iTunes, and I read it as he was going through the audio, and it sunk in a lot better for me to be able to do those things as far as hey, do you have a plan? Would you like to see one? For me to get comfortable with that. So I just love that part of it. When you think about, it only takes 20 hours to get really good at something, but then there's the other 9,900.
Then you put in the 9,980. But you know what? Once you no longer feel the shame or insecurity of being dreadful, they don't frighten you, because that's just life.
Right.
And you don't even realize you're doing it. A lot of things that we're fairly good at, we only remember the struggle of when we felt terrible. All the other hours we put in getting better at it, we don't even realize we're doing them, because it happens in the course of a day. I'll give you my example outside of business. I am a good cook. I am not a chef. Never wanted to be. Never wanted to go to cooking school and be a prep chef and a sous chef and all those things that they do and be an apprentice, because a good chef puts in his 10,000 hours. But I learned to cook, and in the beginning it was difficult. I remember the 20 hours of feeling incompetent and, looking at the knife while I was chopping and reading recipes and them turning out wrong. But then over the years, it became a pleasure for me. So I've probably put in a couple, 3,000, 4,000 hours over the last however many years of cooking, but I wasn't looking at books and stressing out over chopping things. I was creating and having fun because I got to that point. Same thing in business. I love going out and talking to people now. It doesn't frighten me anymore. So I enjoy it. So I don't think of it as putting in my hours. I think of it as enjoying the pleasure of other people's company. But it didn't start out that way, because I knew and was positive that they were all, had scorecards. And when I showed up, they pulled out the scorecard and they were scoring me, and I was flunking the class everywhere I went. Obviously, I now know that that's not how people think, but that's how I saw it.
I definitely, I know that old feeling. I know for me, when I was first for me, it was about being a dad, when you talk about outside of the business, because, for me, kind of watershed moment. Most people that are connected to me on Facebook, they know that, that my oldest son just graduated from high school. So I was, I think about, raising him and his younger brother on my own with, for the last 9 years. And, sometimes, that whole getting good at being a dad part, I don't know that I've ever I probably made more mistakes than anything, but to see your child walk across the stage, it doesn't, they're not concerned about, when you woke them up because they fell asleep and forgot to do their homework, all the things that you have to do. And it's a little bit uncomfortable, when you're sitting with your child in front of the teacher who has graded them like that and want to know why they didn't do this assignment. And it's probably not comfortable for the child either. But as a parent, you got to own that. And so for me, when I started looking at my business as my third child, maybe with special needs, it made it a little bit more, I kind of, I got to watch that, I got to watch this. And so for me, that's kind of what I guess made the difference, when talking to, Travis and Rob, who, definitely, has been very, absolutely amazing. So yeah, my business is my third child.
It's funny that you bring that up because just to show how we don't perceive things properly, I actually lost Lauren in the grocery store once when she was like 3 or 4. And she never remembered that I lost her. She only remembered that I found her. Because that's the thing with kids, because that was my big fear, is that she's going to have a terrible mother. And
right. Yeah.
But she remembers me as the greatest mommy in the whole world because she got lost it. She didn't realize, she got lost it and I found her.
Wow.
It's funny, I was thinking about, because I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of it's like thinking out of the box. Do you remember a year ago that scavenger hunt?
Oh my God.
We won. And the thing was, we knew we were going to win because everybody else was had the attitude, this can't be done. And with that list of the amount of time we did, it really couldn't, but we did it anyway because we were so intent that we were going to get it done. And it's the same type of thing. You just get a team together and it's what kinds of questions are you asking? Because everybody else was sitting there asking things like the other teams were like, that's why we got out of the room because they were kind of negative going,
it was like,
how did they get, who came up with this? And how did they come up with this? And where are we going to find this? And how can that be done? And we were driving around like crazy in that van with all the cell phones and at the mall buying people cookies.
We were like, let's just
go to a veteran have cookies.
Yeah, we were like, let's just go to the mall because whatever the answer is, if we didn't know it, somebody, thousands of people within
the mall were going to help us.
We find it. We find all the veterans and everything.
Because it really was the lesson, because people are always afraid to ask for help. And we were going up to total strangers saying, do you know how we could get this done? And it was amazing because the strangers won the contest for us.
Yeah, they did. And what was really weird, I think my weird moment where I had to kind of snap back is there was a point where we had to buy, do something for a little kid. And I went up to these people and I'm asking them, can I buy your
cookies? And the mother was
some cookies. And they were like, what? And then after some conversation, it was just kind of cool. And one of them ended up becoming a Facebook friend. But, explaining it was a little bit, you kind of had to back into that because I know for me as a parent, if somebody wants to come and buy my child,
like, yes.
Yeah. But I didn't even think about how crazy, how awkward that was. I just thought about the payoff. And
it's interesting. I just realized these people, hey, for all of you viewers, I apologize. We'll give you a little bit of background because you got to think we're crazy. We were at a retreat with about probably, I'd say maybe about 70 people at that event that day.
Right.
And they split us up into teams of like 8 or 10. Tony and I were on the same team. And it was Veterans Day. Was it Veterans Day?
No, it wasn't Veterans Day. It was
around Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, yes.
Memorial Day.
Right.
Yes, it was around Memorial Day. And because of Memorial Day, they gave us a contest. She had like 3 hours. And it was all of these things to do for veterans and their families. And we were in, like near a mall in Salt Lake City. And there was really none of these things. If you did one of these things, it was going to use your whole 3 hours if you did it in traditional ways. Because anywhere that you drove to was going to take you too far from everywhere else.
Oh, my God.
So we went to the mall and had no idea what to do. And we were asking total strangers, we have to do something for a veteran. And what can we do here? How can we help it? And we were going on Facebook asking people for ideas. So we had the Facebook community helping us and the people at the mall. And it was really quite amazing. Yes. And we got totally off track. And I apologize, but I was just thinking about it because it was just one of those experiences where you're totally out of your comfort zone. And We just made a game of it, and we were with a great team. Always work with a team. Always work with people that can make you not take yourselves too seriously and look at the big picture. And kind of like what you're dealing with this week.
Yeah.
We had 3 hours and an impossible task, and we made a lot of friends along the way. They actually won the contest for us. I think 80% of the thing, excuse me, of the things that we came up with were all sourced by total strangers.
Right.
Who weren't total strangers at the end, which is, I think, the message of network marketing is we are all more alike than we are different. And what unites us, is our humanity, our inherent need to connect with and share with and ultimately help other people if we can. I think that if you would ask anybody and they were honest what they really want, they would tell you, first and foremost, they want to provide a better life for them, their families and themselves. And secondly, they want to go out and help people. And you are in a unique position. You have a product now that you made this transition with Instantly Ageless. It is not the cure for cancer. It is not going to set the world on fire. But what it is it is a phenomenal door opener that allows everybody something that is so demonstrable that they don't have to say very much. They can get sense that it starts a conversation. It creates a sale, it creates interest, and opens the door for a more intense conversation, presentation, investigation into all the incredible products you have with the Luminous skincare line, with the core products, etc. So it's an amazing week. You've got all of these blitz calls going on. I know that they're going to follow that up next week. I know there's an event next weekend in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh yeah.
That if you can get to, you obviously want to be at. If not, plug people into it. Whoever that's within 3 or 4 hours driving Phoenix, Arizona, get them there. This team will support you, take care of you, help you grow your business where you're not, which is the beauty of what we do. I know there are company events coming up in
Los
Angeles, also I think in August in Salt Lake, maybe. All kinds of things going on, but plug in and teach others to plug in and have fun. These are the fun times. It's fun. It's exciting. It's momentum. It's happening all over the world. And it's with really cool and wonderful people. So that's all I've got. Any questions? Anything, Tony, that you think help anybody?
I think maybe when we look at this, I think some people like here. If you could just kind of take a brief moment and speak to when you get everything kind of thrown at you like this, the importance. You told us what it was, but the importance of finding the least amount of thing to say to get someone to see the information, and the moral of the story is just try not to be the tool, because a lot of times we feel like we gotta know everything about everything because that's what corporate America tells you.
That'll work against you. Let me tell you a secret. The comp plan, somewhere there's video, okay? Right. And there's a piece of paper. And you're not going to do it better. And if you do it better than everybody, then go tell it to the mirror, video it, stick it up online and point to it. Because the most successful thing you can do is point, guide, and direct. If your lips are moving, it should be to tell a story, yours or someone else's. Introduce a speaker that isn't you. Read something, because everybody can read. Or like I said, put somebody on a 3-way. Invite somebody to a meeting. And the reason is for this. What makes you unique is your story and your ability to look somebody in the eye and listen to theirs. Everything else is already done for you and accessible to everybody. And you don't want to waste your time, because time is more valuable than money. It's the most valuable commodity there is. You can make more money. You can't make more time. You don't want to waste your time replicating something that is already there, because your most valuable asset is you, because only you can develop, create, change, and tell your story. And only you can make a difference into somebody else's story by listening to theirs and helping them see a different ending than the one they have, and offering to lock arms with them and point them to something that might make a difference in their life. Maybe it won't, probably it won't. Not 8 out of 10 people are supposed to tell you no to the business, and that's okay. It's just important they know what they're saying no to. My number one thing in life is not to get people to tell me yes. I look for the no's. I want people to tell me no, because I want everybody to find the life they deserve and the plan that's going to work for them to get it. And I want them to tell me no, but to know what they're saying no to, so that if it isn't this, they can go look at the next thing and the next thing and the next thing till they find their thing.
Right.
Because I know that if I can get everyone to look at it with an open mind, that there'll be so many yeses that should be yeses. People that are going to own their yes, that are excited about their yes, not that are going to become just buy product, because those are going to happen anyway. Plenty of your no's to the business are going to buy the product if they get all the information that's necessary to make a decision. So all you want is people to know what they're saying no to, because they also know what they're saying yes to, because they know what they know. When people don't know what they're saying no to, very often they regret things that they did or didn't do. And I don't like to see people I care about live with regret. It interferes with their future.
Right.
Because they can't let go of the past. So your job is not to convince anyone to do anything other than to look and get all the information necessary to make an informed decision. And since we already know that most of those decisions are going to be no, who cares? Informed no's will introduce you to other people because they're comfortable, even though it's not for them, to introduce you to other people because they know that it's good and it's ethical and it's wonderful. It's just not for them. So go for no.
Excellent statement. I think that was a great way to put a bow on it.
My pleasure.
Well, guys, thanks so much for coming out and taking the time and watching this live. And those of you who watch the replay, the great thing about that is that it's here and you can share this with someone else that was in your team. Guys, thank you for making a part. Thank you for investing in yourself. And like Lisa said, go for no's. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.
All right.